What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 My Team career mode. Last time out we were in the Dutch Grand Prix and yeah, it went pretty well. We didn't have the best qualifying in the world due to some issues that were out of our control, but we managed to recover fairly well and we actually went on to win the race. We're now going to put a pace upgrade in our personnel facility, so hopefully the result of that will be that Théo Pourchaire, my teammate, will be able to get some faster results, faster qualifyings, and maybe be up there competing for wins and podiums on a regular basis. But yeah, we're going to have to wait and see whether that's the case. It's not going to be on the car in time for the Italian Grand Prix, so we're going to have to wait until the race after this one, which is going to be the Japanese Grand Prix, no Singapore this time. But yeah, this time we're going to be at the Italian Grand Prix. It's of course Ferrari's home race, and if you haven't been keeping up with the races this season, I am locked in a very intense battle with Charles Leclerc this season. We have been trading wins back and forth. I've hit a bit of a run of form, which has enabled me to make up some ground that I lost to him earlier in the season, but still, I find myself 1 point behind him in the standings at this stage. You can see the performance index here. Ferrari and Red Bull are basically equivalent. We are slightly ahead of them. There's a bunch of other teams, Mercedes, Alfa Romeo, McLaren, AlphaTauri, Alpine, that are all sort of up here as well. Williams and Haas are now building their way up to the rest of the field, and Aston Martin are still a little way off. So yeah, it's a fairly close field. You know, it feels like anyone could win on any weekend, but most of the wins this season have gone to either myself or Leclerc, and that puts the two of us a long way ahead in the Drivers' Championship. I think it's about 100 points or so between myself and Norris in P3, and then only 1 point between me and Leclerc at the top. It's very, very tight, and I think honestly it could go down to the wire if what's happened so far continues for the remainder of the season. We'll have to wait and see. We got 7 races including this one remaining, and you know, a lot of them are typically quite strong for me, but even one bad weekend could be enough to ruin things for me. You know, if we have one more DNF or anything like that, that could be it. We have a rained out practice session, so it's not I'm not sure exactly what my pace was like. It didn't seem too great. You know, I seemed a little bit off the pace from what I could tell, but to finish P5 still, I'm not going to complain too much about that. I guess we'll wait and see what it's going to be like in qualifying and see if I can get a respectable result in that case. We never have typically gone particularly well in Italy, from what I remember. I had a very difficult race here back when the straight line speed glitch existed, because obviously this track is basically just a bunch of straights. And then the season after that, I think we did manage to get onto the podium, if I remember correctly, but only due to a massive pile-up. And then I think a safety car enabled us to get onto the podium last year. But pace-wise, if there's no drama, we don't really typically do pretty well here. From what I remember, I've never made it into Q3, or maybe I made it into Q3 once, but only just. We're in Q1 at the moment on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. It's good enough for a 119.0 exactly, in fact, which I don't think is going to be good enough, unfortunately, for us to be making it through at this stage. I think we will have to probably improve on that if we want to guarantee our spot in Q2. We get blocked by Schumacher on our second run, but yeah, fortunately I think we're just about going to make it into Q2 in P14 in the end. So yeah, it's not the end of the world, but hopefully we can find a bit more improvement over this. My first lap wasn't particularly fast. It's a little bit annoying that I blew a second set of softs on the second run that ended up not really amounting to anything, but I mean, that's just how it goes sometimes. Pourchaire only P8, so hopefully he can find a little bit of improvement as well, and yeah, hopefully we can have a solid Q2 that sees us go through into Q3. We're on our first flying lap now. We're on a used set of softs, so the pace isn't typically going to be as quick as it would be on a fresh set, but nonetheless we'll see what kind of times we're doing. We'll see if we do around a 119 or so, and in the end it's good enough for a 119.1. So hopefully, again, I can find a bit of improvement on that. I'm 7/10 down on science at the moment, so we're going to need to find a big improvement if we want to catch up with the front pack. And you can see as I come around the final few corners, I'm 7/10 up, but I'm also in 14th. So I need this improvement really if I want to make my way into Q3. And in the end, we cross the line. It's a 118.4. And that is good enough to put us P9. Okay, so it's not the best result in the world, but it certainly could be a lot worse. So I will take it, and we will run with that. You can see that we were only about a tenth off our teammate in P6, so you know, improved by another tenth or so, and we could have been way further up the order. But yeah, the Red Bull's very far ahead in that session, so we'll see what Q3 holds. Obviously, you know, we're going to have to push very, very hard now if we want to be anywhere outside of you know, above sort of P9, P8, that kind of position. We're on a used set of softs again to start things off, and we'll see what kind of time we can do on the used softs. It's a 1:18.6, which is actually a very solid time on used tyres. So if I can find a bit more improvement on the fresh tyres that I'm going to be going out on next, we could be really in the money here. So yeah, you can see that as we come to the final sector, I'm only about a tenth up on my fastest time so far. So I don't know if we're going to be seeing that much improvement. But we're currently P8, so I'm hoping that we can get at least a slightly better result. We've only got one more corner left, the Curva Alboreto, or the Parabolica, whatever you choose to call it. We find a bit of improvement through there, about a tenth and a half, so that's gonna see us about 2.5 tenths up as we come to the line. It's a 1:18.3 in the end, and that is good enough for us to qualify P7. Not quite the result I wanted then, but it certainly could be a lot worse. We're going to need to find a bit of improvement in the race to close the gap to Leclerc, who, as you can see, was comfortably on pole. We probably can get ahead of Gasly quite easily, but I think everyone else is going to be quite difficult to get ahead of. Ricciardo's done very well there to get into P2. His teammate didn't even make it into Q3, so yeah, a solid performance from him. Joe out qualifying Russell as well. I didn't notice before, but yeah, we do need a bit of improvement on this, because if things stay as they are at the moment, I'm going to be scoring 8 points. Leclerc's going to be scoring 25, maybe 26, and we could find ourselves right back where we were before I made this massive recovery, 4 wins in 5 races that I've been on recently. I really don't want to squander all of this recovery that we've made, so I'm hoping that we can make it up into maybe sort of P4, P3 at least, to at least limit the damage that Leclerc will do, even if we don't end up winning the race. A podium would be sort of the ideal scenario to find ourselves in. We have a lot of resource points now. If you haven't been watching, you might not know, I think we're on the verge of getting a regulation change. So yeah, we'll see when we can spend those. And now it's time to get into the race.
It's time for the Italian Grand Prix once again, here at the beloved and iconic Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. With the lowest downforce and drag of any circuit in the season, expect to see drivers making the most of the slipstream effect here today. With top speeds up to 215 and an average lap speed of around 155 miles per hour, Monza's reputation as one of the fastest circuits in the sport is well earned. We have 11 corners on this 3.6 mile track, with the best overtaking chance coming into the heavy braking zone of the Turn 1 chicane. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And P2 goes to Daniel Ricciardo, a strong showing from the Australian. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Théo Pourchaire, Perez, Pierre Gasly, Robinson, Verstappen, Sainz, Joe, and Esteban Ocon. Fernando Alonso, Russell, Lando Norris, and Schwartzman, Albon, Oscar Piastri, Yuki Tsunoda, and Mick Schumacher, Lundgaard, Magnussen, Stroll, and Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. A warm welcome to Anthony Davidson, who's beside me in the commentary box today. Let's talk about Robinson. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
Well, I hope we can. We've managed to make up 1 position due to Sainz's grid penalty. So, yeah, that's a little bit of the difficulty removed already. and yeah, hopefully we can make it up even further. If we can, we're starting on the softs where everyone else is starting on the mediums, so hopefully we can make up maybe a position or two off the start, get ahead of Gasly and maybe even Perez, and see if we can find ourselves in sort of top 5, top 4 territory already, and maybe work our way onto the podium, even if that involves displacing our teammate. That is something we have to do at this point. You know, he's not in a championship challenge, and we are, so you know, team orders might need to take effect here. The lights come on and the lights go out, and we switch to the replay camera immediately, and we're going to be you can see I've already pulled alongside Gasly, and I'm going to be trying to challenge him down into turn 1, but he is fighting me back a little bit, as is Sainz on my inside as well. I'm squeezed to the middle. I'm going to have nowhere to go. We're going to try and hold off both of them, but I don't think it's going to happen. We do manage to get ahead of Gasly, who kind of gets swallowed up a little bit there. You can see that Perez has got ahead of my teammate Pourchaire as well, but I'm being closed by Sainz at a rate of knots, so I'm going to have to do everything I can to hold him off now. I'm going to defend to the inside here. He's going to move to, actually he moves to the inside of the corner, and I think he hit Pourchaire there. It's kind of hard to tell, but he dived right up the inside, and it did not look like he had much room. It's kind of hard to tell from this angle, but I think Carlos Sainz might have front wing damage or something as a result of that. You can see that he's dropping back from Pourchaire, and Pourchaire is dropping back from the front 3 as well. So yeah, he already finds himself all the way up in P4, and yeah, Sainz I think is going to be difficult to kind of get ahead of any of these cars now with this front wing damage that I'm pretty sure he's got. We're already pulling away from Ocon behind us a little bit, so that's good. But generally we just need to try and close up to the cars in front, especially if Sainz is going to pit here, which I think he is. I think you can see there he's got a bit of end plate damage, and indeed he comes into the pits probably to change his front wing, and that promotes us up into P5 off of the start of this race. So that is a fantastic result for us so far, but we're going to need to make more moves if we want to do well. We need to get ahead of Pourchaire pretty quickly, I would say, and we're closing him down here as we come down to the Parabolica. He's actually going to try and go around the outside of Ricciardo here. They hold each other up a little bit, and yeah, now Pourchaire is on to P3, so Ricciardo becomes my target. After his fantastic qualifying, he's already been booted off the podium in only 4 laps by the likes of Perez and my teammate Pourchaire as well. We're going to try and get ahead of Ricciardo here if we can. We got the DRS, we're burning the battery all the way down. We're going to try and dive up the inside here. Have we made it? We actually have, and he gave us the space. So yeah, that's a pretty ambitious dive bomb that we made. You know, Daniel Ricciardo lost at the late breakers, but we broke even later on this occasion. Every time someone makes that joke, you should turn it into a drinking game, because it's honestly something I hear YouTubers saying quite a lot. Leclerc is already a long way up the road, so I'd wager to say there's not many chances of anyone else winning this race. We're now being overtaken by Ocon. I think these soft tyres are going off a little bit, but hopefully once we stop, we can start pushing quite hard on the medium tyres that we switch to, and maybe close up the gap not only to Ocon but also to my teammate and to Perez as well, and see if we can close this gap to potentially find our way onto the podium, maybe even to P2. That would be a fantastic result. You know, if I'm just switching sort of places with Leclerc every single race, you know, we trade P1 and P2 back and forth, then that would be the ideal result. You know, we don't lose too many points. We'll only be sort of 8 or 9 points behind him after the end of this race, and that is a gap that we can easily close down again. Speed through that lap because nothing really happens, but we are going to be coming into the pits on the end of this lap. You can see that my tyres are orange now. They probably wouldn't have done one more lap without risking a puncture. So we come in, and we're going to be fitting the medium compound tyres, and we're going to be going to the end on those. We're going to have to do 18 laps, which is quite a lot on a set of medium tyres, but I think we'll be able to do it. You know, I'm typically pretty good on my tyres, especially with all these tyre wear upgrades we have on the car now. It's a good stop, and yeah, this pit crew is honestly, I want to say pretty good. They're not making anywhere near as many mistakes as they were making when I started this career mode, so that's nice to see. And yeah, you can see Sainz there in the background a little bit. He's fallen off quite significantly, but not only has he fallen off, also Verstappen must have had some kind of issue, because he is all the way at the back as well. We're now on lap 10, and we're going to try and get ahead of some of these sort of, I don't want to call them back markers, but cars that I'm not really competing with at any stage. You know, we've got the likes of Stroll and Magnussen coming up first in the Aston Martins, the comfortably worst car on the grid now, not up for debate. The Haas and the Williams have been developing, but the Aston Martins have not So yeah, I would wage to say that that it's probably not going to be a particularly fun rest of the season for the Aston Martins unless they can find a bit of form soon. Obviously, Aston Martin in a very different position in real life. They do have Stroll, but rather than Magnussen, they also have Alonso, and they're podium contenders in real Formula One this season. So yeah, I mean, maybe they'll be in this position in 2025, which is the season we find ourselves in the game. But somehow I doubt that they will fall off that dramatically in only a few years. But then again, they did fall off that dramatically between 2020 and 2022, when they really did not look very competitive until towards the end of the season. So yeah, maybe a major regulation change. For example, I think there's a major engine change coming up in the next few years or so. I think it's 2026 that they're changing the engines. That would be maybe something that could screw some teams. Maybe we'll see a massive shaking up of the order in that scenario. I've got ahead of Magnussen and Stroll now, and the next driver I've got to get ahead of is Nicholas Latifi. So we're going to see if we can close him down nice and quickly. And as we come on the run down to the Parabolica, you can see I do have a little bit more speed than him when I was burning the battery, but I don't burn the battery the whole way because I'm confident in making this move. But maybe I shouldn't have been so confident. However, we are going to try and sneak one up the inside here with the superior aero, the superior tyres, the superior chassis. We're pretty much superior to them in every single way, and that enables us to make the move up into P13. But Latifi is going to fight us back as we come on the run down to turn 1, and we're going to have to go around the outside of him here. And he actually has to take a bit of an avoiding manoeuvre there to not go into Schwartzman, and that allows us to make our way up into P13 for now. And the next driver that we have to get ahead of is going to be Robert Schwartzman, our former teammate, even if it was only for half a season. He did once drive for our team. In fact, all of the rookies that aren't in F1 in real life, and I guess also Piastri, because he hadn't been in F1 in real life before the current season we find ourselves in. But anyone who was an F2 driver in the game at the start of the game has driven for my team at some point. So Piastri, Schwartzman, Lundgaard, and my teammate Porsche have all driven for my team at some point. And also Enzo Fittipaldi has been a driver for us for quite some time as well. I hope to see him back in the sport sooner rather than later. I'm sure that if there is another retirement and a spot opens up at a team, he will be the first driver being called in to find his way into that seat. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We find ourselves now on lap 13, moving on to lap 14. Piastri is coming into the pits. In fact, a lot of drivers are pitting now, including Joe and Gasly as well. And some of the drivers we were racing with, including Ricciardo and Ocon, have come out of the pits. And we're going to see now if we can get ahead of Ocon out of this pit stop phase. We're going to do a Max Verstappen on him, but we go very deep into the corner. And yeah, that's not going to give us the best of exits through here. We're going to have to burn quite a lot of battery, I think, to keep him behind. Even if he is on cold, hard tyres and we're on warmed up medium tyres, he still is going to be challenging us back into the chicane. But a little bit of dodgy driving from me there actually has enabled him to stay behind now. We find ourselves now on lap 15 and we're closing up Teo Pourchaire here. If we can find our way onto the podium, this would be fantastic. But Mark seems to have found some kind of issue with the car. Obviously we had that last race as well, and it turned out to be a false alarm. The issue fixed itself. So yeah, I'm hoping that it's a similar result here. You know, we want to get at least some points here in this Italian Grand Prix. To get absolutely no points while Leclerc is out front by a country mile, probably going to get fastest lap as well. That is going to drop the gap from 1 point up to 27 points behind Leclerc, and it's exactly what I feared was going to happen. Unfortunately, we just have not been getting the rub of the green so far this season. You know, this is our third mechanical failure, despite the fact that we have a maxed out durability department. This is our third mechanical failure of the season. I still don't think Leclerc has had any. The closest thing to a failure he had is when he hit Lundgaard on a safety car restart in Azerbaijan, and that is pretty much the only thing that has harmed his chances of winning this championship this season. So yeah, I can't help but feel like he's had a bit more of the luck that we haven't had. So yeah, that is not really what I wanted to see. And well, maybe the championship is over now. Who can say for certain? But it's going to be It's going to be a hard road back into this one now. Can you imagine? You know, 27 points to overcome in only 6 races. It's not impossible, but we have to outperform him at basically every race now. You know, and some of them are going to be hard. Suzuka especially, man.
Great effort there from Ferrari to take the victory today. Talk to me, Ants. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
He doesn't know. He doesn't know what sets him apart from the competition. And nobody knows, quite frankly. Why is Leclerc so much faster than every other driver in this series?
Looking at the podium, you can see that red suit familiar to fans across the globe. A world-class win for a world-class team. Ferrari, do it again.
You know, I think now Leclerc is well on his way to winning his 3rd championship title in 4 years. And if my car keeps breaking down like this, even with Porsche getting on the podium, it doesn't help me in any way if he's not ahead of Leclerc. So yeah, we're in a real pickle at the moment, I would say. And hopefully we can overturn this, but it's looking very drastic now at this point in the season.
So let's review the drivers' standings. Charles Leclerc, currently leading the championship standings, extends his lead even further with this result. Some amazing talent out on the track today. But Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
I think for driver of the day, I'd probably pick Lando Norris. He lived up to every inch of his reputation today, and I think he'll be going home, quite rightly, a bit proud of himself.
Let's move on to the constructors. Ferrari continue to extend the gap at the top of the table. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Well, that is not great to see. Yeah, 27-point deficit to Ferrari now, and no highlights, of course, because we didn't finish the race. So yeah, perhaps the only saving grace from this is that we have won this rivalry against Max Verstappen. It says 1 race is remaining, but it has been won at this stage. So we will be bumping up the difficulty, which is actually going to make my life even harder for beating Leclerc. I can barely beat him on the difficulty we're currently on, and bumping things up even further might be the nail in the coffin. But it is the rules of this season, and I can't pick and choose when I want to follow the rules. I have to just do it. So yeah, join me next time for Suzuka, and hopefully we can have another miracle result there that we sometimes get. But that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.